to share this and I want to get your reaction to it. I found this very fascinating.
You look like a bum, dress like a bum, they treat you like a bum. This is what I wish the youth would understand. The way you are dressed determines the way you are addressed. Test that out and see how the market works.
Look good, feel good.
All men are created equal until they get dressed. We pretty good judge of character, right?
Like your approach.
So your approach was good and everything. You got it. You gonna make it. I own Bernard Hats on 9017 South Commercial Avenue. This is where I come to meet and greet people like you. You came and you found me.
Your brand that you have on your head.
I change every day, yeah. I'm from Chicago.
What neighborhood?
Maxwell Street. You had to make everything count. No waste. Clothes had to be the last. Food had to be the last. Now we're a little, careless with our stuff, right? Back then on Maxwell Street, I had to learn how to fend for myself. I don't ask my mama for nothing. We try to bring stuff home to our parents and help the family out. See, that's what's gone now, you know what I mean? We just abandoned each other. Back in the day, everybody looked out for each other. That's what I miss. Coming from Maxwell Street, it taught you make every penny count. Help your fellow neighbor. We all did things so we could survive together, right? Either we survive together or we die alone, right? That's where we at now.
My generation, we know Maxwell Street as the college town for you, Chicago. You explain what Maxwell Street really is.
When people came over to the United States with bare minimums, that's the starting point. You get here and build yourself up, build your family up, make everybody survive, right? The Jews just happen to be the ones that came over here and mounted down there, but they own all the stores, all the restaurants and everything, right? See, we came down there to survive, so we had to buy from them, right? So now, that's what prepared me to have my own store, right? Because I was down in that environment. So I know what it takes to survive. We need more black businesses. That's how you survive in this world. That's why we being left behind. I just keep it real. That's why everybody like me. I keep it real. I keep it 100. Don't ask me nothing if you don't want to know the truth. Walking down Maxwell Street, you can find anything. Stuff that you can't find in stores, you can find on Maxwell Street. Line up on the streets and sell stuff, and people come down there every Sunday and shop. Now I got my own store because I watch them have their stores. I know that's the formula, right?
What was the demographics back then?
The Jews, Polish. At the end, the blacks came. We was the last generation before they built the university. You're an intelligent young man. You got a lot of information, man.
I wanted to share that because, in the beginning when he was saying, if you look like a bum, you're going to get treated like a bum. Like presentation is everything. It's very important. And owning your own is very important, right? And they went in detail specifically about Chicago, but I just want to get your thoughts on the overall theme of his message when it comes to being a black man, especially with the younger generation. When you're young, how you present yourself is important, how you present yourself in public.
If you go to a formal affair, you will see that the keynote speaker and the people that are waiting on the tables all have on the same attire. It's a uniform. You see a person in a military uniform, you presume he belongs to that military branch, and he has been deemed worthy of being part of the chain that goes from the past and will go to the future for that organization. You see a person in a police uniform or any other kind of uniform, football, baseball, basketball uniform, he's part of this team. And he will always be a part of that team. Well, the clothing means you are part of a team. What is that team? It's manhood or womanhood, depending upon what you're doing. And if you go to Beijing, if you go to Moscow, you go to Rome, you go to Berlin, you go to Paris, you go to Stockholm, you go to London, you go to Sydney, you name it, Tokyo, Mexico City, Rio, you go to Pretoria, you go to Johannesburg, you go to Anywhere in the world, you will see the team of manhood. They have on a tie, a collared shirt, a suit, a sport coat cut the same way, slacks, shoes. That's the uniform of manhood. The tie represents the last piece of male body armor, which you see the people in the old pictures, they've got the stocks around the necks, and even the clown collars you see in Elizabethan England through the paintings during Shakespeare's time. Those were to protect your neck from the flick of a light sword, small sword, which could easily cut your jugular or carotid complex to a point where you'd bleed out quickly. So it's a uniform. Leathernecks, they wore those high collars. That's the U.S. Marine Corps for the same thing when they boarded ships and they were having fights with cutlasses. Same thing. So men dress in a uniform to show that you are part of manhood. You may have your decorations on, little embellishments that show that you've done something above and beyond. But basically, the uniform says you're part of it, and your deeds bespeak how much a part of it and how much you've contributed. The women, they have their thing. It's more varied. They're trying to show off their beauty. So somebody says, hey, that's nice. I like that. I want that at home with me. It's inspirational. Before somebody, by the way, goes off talking about objectification of beauty, humans have done that for a long time. And if we hadn't, we'd still be looking like chimps and gorillas and Australopithecine africanus living in caves. So beauty does have its value. But be the uniform, and by the way, that's not the uniform that they have on. It's interesting. It's not too wild, but the point I think they're trying to make is young folk don't look like you should be pushing a grocery cart with a bunch of lawn bags in it, looking like you are homeless and sleeping under a bridge.
Right.
Now,
So,
the other part about it,
okay.
that's I'm older than they are, and what they're talking about is a glorified thing. And 50 years ago, I had a place down on 71st and Constance. Oh, I'm not unfamiliar with Chicago, and I've been back an awful lot over the years. And yeah, there were some elements of taking care of your business, but I used to date somebody in Chicago whose daddy was a police sergeant. And every time I'd go visit her, he'd say, son, you got your pistol? If not, you can borrow one of mine. We'll go out and hit some clubs. If somebody comes up with a uniform, hand me the gun.
So I want to
need to go out unarmed. And that was 50 some years ago in Chicago. So it wasn't all that glorious.
So I want to swing into this. The Million Man March. So this month marked the 30th anniversary since the Million Man March in 1995. And, you know, it was kind of trending all over. It was October 16th, 1995. So I guess that would be, 30 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
30 years.
Remember what I was doing.
So, yeah, what were you doing during the Million Man March? Because you did it.
I tell you exactly what I was doing. The warden of the federal maximum security penitentiary here in the Memphis area asked me to come out there and run a workshop for the inmates. So we were running a workshop, having discussions as we were watching this go on. And I found it interesting because on the periphery of the prison, they had the federal detention security specialist. And on the interior, they had inmate guards who were trustees. They had on olive drab fatigues with polished jump boots and maroon fezzes. And they provided internal security because they had a lot of people who got mandatory sentences of 5 years, 60 months for having 2 or 3 rocks. And they also had people who had tried to hijack airplanes, rob banks, commit murders, and the circumstances that gave the feds jurisdiction, and committed espionage and all sorts of other things that were not good. They even had a selection of former government agents who had killed people but gotten caught and had to take a dive behind it. So, yeah, I remember what I was doing. We were in there. I was there for about 4 hours a day, the day before and the day it occurred.
Well, I want to ask you this though. Why haven't Black men organized to have another Million Man March? Because I always thought that we should have. Well, what should have happened? There should have been a Million Man March at least every 5 years since then. A follow up.
Why?
Because when you are organizing such a big event, you're able to maintain locally. When you go back to your local state, your local community, city, or what have you, other offsprings of that Million Man March can be organized to where you are initiating, whether it's public policies, resources for young Black boys and men, to improve and do better. So when I'm saying at least every 5 years or every 10 years, but in between that, to have organizations to build up Black men. So it seemed like we had the 1 Million Man March and that was it.
What you did is you provided an ideal opportunity for Reverend rats like Sharpton to infiltrate themselves into the organizations of others and to rat them out, to pimp them out, and to sell them out. Now, the idea is there, and it was a good organizational thing, but it's debilitating in terms of the resources that have to be brought to bear to do that. Now, granted, while we were looking, Minister Louis Farrakhan invited a certain somebody that I don't think much of to come up and speak to the audience. And he said now he understood the extreme animosity that existed between large segments of the audience of this individual, but in the spirit of reconciliation, he invited him up. The individual came up and gave his same tired, lame speech that he had done, and I couldn't forget all of the harm that he had done to people I knew personally who had died because of him, that he had killed, and that he sold out and he played rat for, and informed the FBI back in the day when they really were not friends of the Black folk, that they tried to subvert, and a lot of other things that we call pimping the movement, pimping the revolution, or just flat out sell out to get out.
You're
Oh,
talking about Ron Karenga.
yes, I am. The Malata Ron Karenga, also known as Ron Everett. So, yeah, that is what the problem is. Whenever you organize, there is a time limit to what you can do formally, because what you do is if you go past that, you give an ideal opportunity for infiltrators, reverend rats, to come in and insinuate themselves so they can destroy what you're doing.
And so do you think that's probably the main reason why there has never been another Million Man March or anything
They
close?
had one the anniversary, but it was some women put it on, and they tried to turn this Million Man March into a feminist moment.
I remember that, yeah.
It didn't work too well. See, when you get something and you start trying to resurrect it, you know what you do to the event when you commemorate it? You make it a holiday. And what do we do on holidays? We have fun and we dance and we sing. We don't take care of business. We let you all hang out and you go drink beer or wine and you go have a good time. This was not about having a good time. This was about taking care of necessary business. So when you celebrate things and make it an anniversary or a regularly scheduled thing, you make it a holiday, which means you party instead of performing. You party instead of perform.
So was the Million Man March a waste of time?
It was not. It had some impact 30 years ago. I could see it. I
But I
found
think what I'm trying to
energy.
say is 30 years ago and today, that's a 30-year gap. And you look at the state of the Black man here in America.
Right now, we haven't had the perpetration of so much refined effort through social media as well as mainstream media to glorify dysfunction. We have not had the Al Sharptons given the opportunity to work their poison. And by the way, Sharpton was essentially nothing when this was going on. You notice how they boosted him?
Right.
See, that's what they do. You take your enemy, if somebody's your enemy, they take collaborators and they boost them so they can do more harm to you.
Right.
We don't need to listen to a single thing that an Al Sharpton has to say. We don't need to listen to Cory Booker's. We don't need to listen to any of that. We need to listen to the ordinary guys like these folk out here trying to push these hats. I don't say they are all that they're claiming that they are about, nor the way they look at some historical events, but that kind of involvement at the grassroots level leads to things that are good